Day, psychologist and Mom Enough podcast host, Dr. Marty Erickson, a good friend of our show, is here with some strategies for the upcoming holidays.
Yes, and I have to practice, excuse me, I have to practice what I preach too, because this is an issue for all families, and this is just so important. If we can't achieve some level of peace in our families and circle of friends, how in the world are we ever going to do that as a city or a state or a nation? And so this is really where it begins, in
right
our
in your home.
Close circles, yes.
And I love the point that you had that, do it for so many reasons, but do it because your kids are watching.
Oh, amen. And they are just picking up everything we do. We can talk until we're blue in the face, tell them what they should do, but they are learning from seeing what we do. How do we handle these difficult situations?
And I would also say that there's a lot of families that decide, well, over the holidays, or over the pandemic, they couldn't get together. And then after the pandemic, they don't want to get together, some of them. I think that coming together is a good idea because we need to have some normalcy there. And it's good to wrap the kids around family, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, these are really important rituals and kind of markers and opportunities for all of us to come together across the generations and really build connections that are so important to our developing children, but to us and as we get older.
They need to know
really
everyone, the
important.
aunts and the grandmas and grandpas and cousins. Okay, so agree to check grudges and disagreements at the door. What do? Do you send an email out about it? Do you talk about it beforehand within the home, or?
Yes, all of the above, I think, and whatever works for your particular family, because everybody in the family knows where the tensions are, the old rivalries or hurts from when we were children. And today, with all the divisiveness, around how we handled COVID and around every aspect of politics, we just have to name that and say, this is a time to set those things aside. We are going to have fun. We are going to show these kids what a loving, respectful family is, even though we have disagreements.
I like that. You just say that, and that just kind of brings it home.
Exactly.
Okay, so plan activities that keep the mood light. Like what?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a favorite, and it might be my favorite more than my family's favorite, but we've had some wild and hilarious games of charades with people of all ages. And, you can decide what works for your family, but sometimes it's card games or
Pictionary.
Yeah, exactly. And it's asking everybody to tell what their most embarrassing moment was in childhood, or favorite memories that
Christmas.
can be sweet and tender. And get outside, I mean, I walked around Lake Erie yesterday morning with my friends. That was the most beautiful walk I think I've ever had in my life.
It was beautiful, and it is beautiful.
This is
get
a
outside
great
because
time.
fresh air can clear your brain, and and table topics. My friend Julie Nelson loves table topics.
Oh,
and
I do too.
So you pick, like you said, a topic that is simple, and people can just kind of work off of that. That can be the entire dinner, or the entire lunch.
It gets a life of its own.
Now, if things start to get heated, you have to be the one. The host has to be the one, or anyone, to de-escalate.
Yeah, exactly. So if somebody says something really provocative to you, just say, that's a really interesting point. Let's talk about that another time. Yep. Or you can just say to them, this is something I'm just taking a break from. And I know that there's a lot of debate going on around this. I watch TV, I hear people talking, but I'm taking a break from this for the holidays. And that's what we're doing as a family today.
And then just start talking about the weather.
Exactly.
Because everyone can argue about that.
That's right. And one last point. I think we really have to watch alcohol consumption because people lose their self-regulation when they drink too much, and that's very easy.
The filters all go away.
So, have alternatives and just don't have a lot of booze on hand.
Just
shift the focus to
start with one, and then
things.
maybe move it along. Maybe put it away. Good ideas.
And
really
important
good
for
ideas.
The kids too.
Well, Merry Christmas to you and your family.
You too,
have a
Belinda.
wonderful time with your family. Excited for you.
All together.
That's so exciting. And if you want to listen to some phenomenal, wonderful topics, just go to the Mom Enough podcast, and they're released every Monday, and everything is on our website, care11.com, because there's lots of great advice on there and a lot of wonderful topics, of course, with both of them. So coming up next,